he's a bad man. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin.
I'd like to accept this. First of all, good evening to everyone. I'd like to accept this on behalf of James Broad, a real close friend of mine. I miss him. And me and him were such good friends. And he was a nice person that just put everything into what he did. I miss him a lot. And I just we're glad to come across. Sometimes you meet people in your life and it's like you know them all your life. He was one of those guys. And I have nothing good but to say good things about him. I miss him, and I just accept this award on his behalf. Thank you.
Trust me, last time they told me I had 2 minutes to watch the F-bomb. I won't take any F-bombs. I don't know about the 2 minutes, but it won't be that long. This is a huge, huge, huge honor for me to have been asked to come up to accept the award for someone who was one of my mentors. Eddie was an incredible guy. He was complete opposite of me. He really never said too much, and he wasn't a loud guy or anything like that. And I don't know what he took a liking in me for, but I think he kind of thought I reminded him of his mentor, who was Adolf Rataco, who was another one of my mentors. So it just kept passing on down, and he was just so instrumental in my career and many other guys. He ran the Passion Gym, like they said, and I met him there. He was in everybody's corner. There's guys out here, if their lights were on, I could say, raise your hand if he ever worked your corner. I know Tim Witherspoon, he worked his corner. I know Darren Machinsky, he worked his corner. And as an honor, when he had passed on, because he had taught me, I became their cutman. So that was a huge honor that they bestowed to me, because they figured, well, the greatest cutman in the world taught Joey, so he must know what he's doing. And 4 Hall of Fames later, I guess I do know what I'm doing. But he really instilled in me a lot. He was the kind of guy who was always to tell you to be calm, take this serious. There's no playing around. You know, this is a life and death business. You know, but get in there, do your job, get out of there, and keep your mouth shut. Right? I hear you over there, Ray Mercer. And keep your mouth shut. You all right? But you know, like I said, Eddie was the quintessential guy. I mean, he got so deep into it here in Atlantic City that he moved from his house, sold his house in South Philly, moved to Margate, and would shuttle in 3-4 times a week when it was the height in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, when boxing was like the mecca here. And he just came in, worked everything, and the one thing he told me too was, it doesn't matter the guy's record, it doesn't matter his color, it doesn't matter who he is, you know, whether you're fighting in the back alley or Atlantic City or Las Vegas or on TV, it doesn't matter. Your job is to stop the cut, bring the swelling down. And that's what he did. And he would reassure guys like, don't worry about it, it's a scratch. You know, guys I'd be hanging out, like, no problem. He'd get you through the fight. And, you know, he passed that on to me, and I'm the same way. You know, before a fight, we might be in the back cracking jokes, but the minute you hit that gate and you come out, it's all serious, there's no playing around. And that's one of the things that he instilled in anybody that he knew, and he would make the fighters, the trainers, everybody feel calm. And he loved being down here and working the fights in Atlantic City, and I know that. He told me that. He said this was like the best place. So I want to just thank everybody, and again, it's an honor to accept this for him, and I know he's up there kind of snickering, because being a proud Italian American, he gets to go into the AC Hall of Fame on Columbus Day. There's got to be, you know, he's just laughing. Also, I'm kind of mad at him though that I needed to accept this, because I was supposed to be in the Columbus Day parade, but I couldn't be there. But it's great to be here, and I really want to thank everybody. Thank you so much, and you got to give a hand for everybody that does this. This is a great Hall of Fame. Thank you.
wanted to thank the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame for this honor. This is one of the hardest days of my life because Atlantic City, as you know, is my father's second home. I mean, first as a judge for all those years, coming during the week when he was working, when he wasn't working, and then all the times with HBO. I mean, one of his favorite things to do after a big fight was to walk down the boardwalk and have every fan in Atlantic City, all over the world, call him, text him, stop him on the boardwalk, and all he wanted to do was talk boxing. Every 4-rounder, every 10-rounder, every fight meant the world to him, and especially here. This was his home. And I mean, my mother is crying at home because she knows how much this means to our family. And my sister's here, Iris, my brother-in-law Mark, and my fiance Max DeLuca, who's also a boxing judge. And I just want to thank everybody here because you all mean so much to my father in your own way, and you all know it. And he's in all of our hearts, so thank you very much.
First and foremost, I just want to thank the committee for this wonderful honor being given to my father and to congratulate the rest of this year's Hall of Fame class. Unfortunately, my father could not be here with you all today. Some of you might know my father was diagnosed with dementia about 8 years ago and is currently battling Alzheimer's disease. So getting him here would have been a bit difficult, and truthfully, it's not how he would want to be remembered. He would want to be remembered exactly how he is, and that is someone who's respected, admired, and adored by people around the world. I cannot tell you how many times someone has come up to me with a fond memory or story about my father. It's funny, when people meet me, there's an instant disappointment when they realize they aren't meeting him. For me, though, that's special. It just shows you the type of person that he was. He had such a positive effect on so many people's lives in the boxing industry. He was and is a remarkable man, and I'm honored to be his son and to share his name. While it's terrible to think that his memories are gone, the special thing about memories are that they are shared with others, and the memories and moments that my father had here in this city were some of the greatest, not only of his life, but my entire family's. And they'll be cherished and shared for generations to come. If there's one thing that this disease has taught me, it is to cherish the time you have here and spend it with the people you love. Have fun, enjoy life, leave a lasting and positive impression on people. Make them remember you. My father excelled in that, and it is something that we should all strive for in our lives. Thank you again to the committee for this great honor, and cheers to the class of 2022.
And I accept this award on behalf of ringside physicians all over the world, whose common goal should always be and has always been maintaining and improving health and safety standards in this combat sport. We don't do it for money. The average ringside physician makes less than the ring card girl does at a fight. We do it for the love of the sweet science and for those athletes who participate in it. First and foremost, I just want to thank God for inspiring me in the field of medicine and also for guiding me to practice my specialty here in the great city of Atlantic City for the past 30 years. Thanks Dave Weinberg, formerly from the Atlantic City Press, for nominating me for this award. I thank all my colleagues, especially my early mentors back in the day, the late Dr. Frank Doggett and Dr. Charles Wilson. And I would not be up here today if I didn't work for what I believe is the best boxing commission in the world. So thank you to Commissioner Hazard for all your support and confidence in me and in the medical staff that we had. To Rhonda, Nick, and everybody at the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, thank you. I believe we had the finest safety record in this sport. To my loving wife, Annette, who's out there, thank you so much, honey, especially in those early days when I'd come home from a 12-hour shift in the ER only to turn around and go back and work a fight in Atlantic City. I even had to work an assignment the night my son, Michael, was born. And finally, to all the boxers out there, I say, may God bless you, and keep you safe and healthy. Thank you.
He certainly was the boxing capital of the world. And three of the most exciting and talented fighters to fight there often all came out of Philadelphia. Jeff Chandler, the bantamweight champion, Matthew Saad Muhammad, the light heavyweight champion, and the man we're honoring tonight who was never in a bad fight, Frank the Animal Fletcher. When ESPN came into the boxing scene in 1980, they were crowning champions in 5 weight classes: lightweight, welterweight, junior middleweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight. And Bob Arum worked with 4 of us. We ran shows every week. Mel Gribb had Las Vegas, Ernie Terrell, Chicago, Dan Duva, Totowa, New Jersey, and I was in charge of Atlantic City. And the first card, April of 1980, the middleweight tournament kicked off. Frankie had a record going in of 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And his opponent, Ben Serrano, had 1 win, 3 losses, and a draw. And Bob Arum called me up and he said, "Russell, do you know what you're doing?" Because in those days, you didn't have to be undefeated to get on television. It just mattered whether or not you could fight. And Frankie's career took off. From April of 1980 until February of 1985, he won 12 out of 14 fights in Atlantic City. He was the first ESPN middleweight champion. His bonus for winning the tournament was a fight against the top 10 contender. We moved from the 400-seat Rutland room at Resorts, which the writers were mocking as the boxing studio by the sea. And we moved into Resorts International Superstar Theater, where Frankie knocked out Slammin' Sammy Naismith of Indianapolis. And then the next year, Ferdy Pacheco, who had taken over as the boxing consultant on NBC and broke the monopoly that Don King and Bob Arum had on national network television, he gave Frankie a shot. Frankie beat Norberto Sabater to win the USBA title. And every time Frankie fought on the weekend at the Sands, it was like a celebration. His uncle, Dick Turner, was a welterweight contender. His brother, Anthony, was a lightweight contender. His other brother, Troy, was the Pennsylvania bantamweight champ. But the toughest Fletcher of all was his mother, Lucille. If you remember watching Frankie's fights in front of the stage at the Sands, she'd be parading back and forth, holding a stuffed tiger in her hand, and they'd be cheering, "Animal, Animal." And the Sands even made a record called The Animal. And for those matchmakers out there who are told never match 2 left-handers against each other, if you get a chance, go to YouTube and punch in Frank Fletcher versus Clint Jackson. It's one of the greatest fights nobody ever talks about, 2 left-handers. And Frankie went from making $300-400 a fight before ESPN came along. And in those 5 years, he made the equivalent as probably what's close to $3 million today. And he had a terrific career. He never got a shot at the world title. But all you can ask from a fighter is, did he entertain you? And nobody was more entertaining than Frank the Animal Fletcher. And I'm honored that the family asked me to speak on his behalf. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to begin by thanking the committee for inducting me into the prestigious organization. It is quite an honor. I was a referee during Atlantic City's heyday in boxing. There was a time when I refereed 2 to 3 times a week, and the Tropicana had boxing every Tuesday night. It was a lot of fun. Between 1983 and 2014, I refereed 200 fights. 30 of which are title fights, which you already heard. But as the gentleman said, I'm still involved in the sport that I love. I'm on the board of directors of the International Boxing Federation. I'm the treasurer and the supervisor of fights. I'd like to thank my wife of 38 years, Kathleen, She's been at my side all those years and off at ringside as well. I'd also like to thank my little sons, Patrick and Ryan. They're 6'5" and 6'6". My beautiful daughter-in-law, Shannon, and my granddaughter, McKenna, and grandson, Freddie. Thank you very much.
Something funny to start this off with, but I'm coming up short. So we're going to have to start with just the good old, I'd like to thank Ray and the entire committee so very much for recognizing all the blood, sweat, and tears that every single one of these fighters have shed in the gym and in the ring. There's so many people to thank, and I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm going to preface these thank yous with, if I leave you out, I'm sorry. I'm a boxer. My bad guys, John Klug and Chaz Antonori, got me in the best shape I can get in. They were there for me all the time. Eric Baptiste, my advisor, he never put me in a dangerous situation that I could think of. My cut man, Joey I, he stitched me up many a times, and although I would try to tell him how to do his job in the corner, in every single fight that I was in, he stuck with me and never told me to go somewhere. My trainer away from home, Billy Johnson, aka BJ, and the entire Lennox City PAL, I'd like to thank them. The dozens and dozens of sparring partners over the years that I had. Thank you so much for beating me up. My college boxing coaches, Dr. Ken Cox and Ken Cooper, and my amateur trainer, Al Mitchell, thank you. My hometown of Wildwood, and all the thousands of people who used to make the drive up to the Parkway to support me. Thank you. And just like my man Timmy Witherspoon said in his induction speech, if it wasn't for these fans, I'd be standing out there talking to a bunch of chairs. So thank you guys. My beautiful lady, Miss Christine Rothwell, thank you for putting up with me while I was cutting weight and training, because anybody who lives with a boxer with a cutting weight knows how rough it is. And the abundant amount of support that you've given me. My family, thank you for your endless love and support. This next one is, it's my mom. I want to thank my mom. Mom, I want to thank you for not killing my dad when we told you that I'm going to be a boxer. Thank you for allowing me to go through with it. And I've been doing this for over 28 years, and she's never seen me fight once. She will fly all over the country to support me, but never watch me get hit one time. It's pretty impressive, actually. Getting mixed up, I'm sorry. And finally, I want to thank my best friend, the guy who started this all for me. We've been together. Boxing has done so many things for me throughout my career. It's made me a decent amount of money. It's given me a lifetime worth of memories. It's kept me healthy and in shape. It's done so many things for me. There are too many to name. But the best thing that it's done, it's allowed me to spend the most amount of time I can with my best friend, my father, Mr. Albino Mussachio. I can't see anybody out there, but Dad, wherever you are out there, without you in my corner, there's no way that I'm standing up here today except in this honor, so thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you all so much. It's such an honor to be here. In July of this year, President Biden presented Megan Rapone, a soccer player, and her fellow Olympic teammate, gymnastics, Simone Biles, with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He said, "It is an essential American truth that everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect. In the early 90s, Commissioner Randy Gordon and Larry Hazard broke glass ceilings by licensing women in professional boxing. Yeah. This paved the way for me and 23 others like me to compete in the first class of Golden Glove boxers of 1995. In 1996, Andrea DeShong and I fought on the USA Tuesday Night Fights. And a poll was done that night by viewer call-in. Today you probably text that, but they wanted to know, did you want to see women box again? Of the 65,000 viewers that night, 85% said yes. Christy Martin was the commentator that night. And Junior Jones, I know you're out there. Yeah, according to Kipling, he said, a king among men who hasn't lost the human touch. You gave me your dressing room that night so that I didn't have to share a bathroom with the rest of the guys. Thanks for that. Yeah. That night changed my life forever. Dennis Rappaport Promotions gave me the shot when women's boxing was just getting started on the heights of today. Through his innovative vision, I got started on my journey to the epic super fight with Christy Martin. Dennis willingly worked with other promoters like Diane Fisher, Queen, I know you're out there. Yeah, I know you are. Yep. Who, because of her desire to continue Daddy's dream, I was able to fight 10 times here in Atlantic City, selling out casino showrooms and getting airtime on pay-per-views and female main events on ESPN. Documentaries about women's boxing were done on A&E and Discovery Channel, shattering more glass ceilings. Trainers like Dominic Marino and Scooter Honig, Dom, you're like a dad to me, you know that. And trainers along the way like John Scully, Emmanuel Stewart, and Al Gavin, both, may they rest in peace, who treated us as fighters that needed to do what everyone else was doing, only better, because we weren't just girls in your gym. It wasn't easy to push women to their limits. My husband, Frank G., the prince of my Cinderella story, can tell you that. He created a sanctioning body and kept the women's gym open for 30 years, fighting for equal pay and safety measures. I can't thank him enough. Nothing that has been great to me would have happened without him, including my 2 kids, Savannah and Frank. You guys are the best. I love you so much. Boxing is considered an individual sport. It is not. Without companies like Everlast giving me endorsement and the Women's Sports Foundation, and your help breaking the barriers and obstacles we face on the ground floor of women's boxing in the mid-90s. All of this would not have created the first 6-figure payday between Christy Martin and myself at the historic Madison Square Garden. Under the Don King banner in 2021, we were just excited to be the preliminary event on the main event of the male super fight. Women now, it's an Olympic sport 30 years later. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano shattered our record of 6 figures to 7. Women's boxing just keeps growing. But without all of you and all of your support, none of that would have happened. So thank you for that. Today, women's sports is better than ever. Women like Becky Hammond coach the NBA, women are refs in the NFL, and women like Serena Williams just keep bridging the pay gap between men and women. When Megan got her Presidential Medal of Freedom, she said for us, this is just a huge win, ensuring that not only are the rights of the wrong of the past, but I'm gonna read that again. When getting our Medal of Freedom, Megan, for us, this is just a huge win in ensuring that not only rights the wrongs of the past, but sets up the next generation of women fighters for something we never dreamed of. Tonight, I want to thank all of the fans. I want to thank Ray McCline and the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame for their support, for the recognition and the award, for the honor of being in the room with all of these kings and queens. This is certainly something I could have only dreamed of when I started this journey in 1995. Thank you so much.
To Ray, Angela, Rob, and Rob from the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame for voting for me, and everyone else that voted for me. I am so happy and so excited to be here, and I also want to say congratulations to all the other inductees. I have like 40 years. I'm shocked my own self. I started this when I was young, so I'm going to get it all in 3 minutes. I'm going to give you a brief history of my life in boxing, because boxing has been very, very good to me, okay? It's allowed me to go around the world to places I would have never gone to if it hadn't been for boxing. It allowed me to meet Joe Frazier, and I have to tell you about this because everybody says, well, how'd you get into boxing? Well, I decided I should go to the boxing matches with my first boyfriend and his brothers. And they said, oh, then you're pretty good at picking the winners. You should try it. Well, I didn't think about it. But later, when I was out of work, I said, let me go try this boxing stuff. So when I went down to the State Athletic Commission, they didn't want me in it. They didn't want no females in it. I said, I'm sorry, but I want to do it. So I'm going to try it. And so I got I got my application. He said, well, where are you going to go? You got to go to a gym. I didn't know no gym but Joe Frazier's. But I didn't know Joe Frazier. So I go up to the gym, and I said, I'd like to meet Joe Frazier. And they said, well, like who are you? I said, well, I want to be a boxing judge. And so I want Joe Frazier to train me. Really, Joe don't train in boxing. He does the fighting. So he didn't want to come out first. And then the secretary went and said, there's a pretty young girl out there that wants to meet you. But Joe really came right out after that. He was coming out the shower. and he came out. He said, well, what do you want with me? I said, well, I want to be a judge. He said, I don't like judges, I don't like referees, I don't like announcers. I said, listen, I want to be a boxing judge. And they say that you're the best. So I want to be trained by you because you're the best. And he asked me about one fighter. He said, well, what do you think about this fighter? You think he'd be a good champion? Well, I was going to say, yes, what did I know? I don't know nothing about boxing. And then his secretary was behind him saying, and I said, of course not. And he said, okay, I'm going to train you. I said, all right now. So anyway, I started with him. And in 3 months, I went to that gym religiously. I didn't even realize how important that gym was because there were so many people coming down to that gym. All kinds of champions, all kinds of people in boxing and everything, but I didn't pay them any attention because I was there to learn my craft. So I went to that gym. In 3 months, I was out of it. My main goal was to get to Atlantic City. I want to be in Atlantic City. So I hooked up with Percy Richardson, and then he hooked me up with Bob Lee and Jersey Joe Walcott. I went to Atlantic City. In 6 months, I had my license in Atlantic City. I was like, and then I went on, and I got in. I was the first African-American female in Atlantic City, and I was very proud of that. And in Atlantic City, they didn't treat me so nice at first, okay? The guys would have a room upstairs, they made me go sit ringside. I wasn't, I can't go up to the room. I said, what? You can't go up there. It wasn't until Larry Hazard became commissioner that they allowed me to go to the room. Okay, yeah, so I have to, yep. So I have to say, I forgot this part, because I'm trying to get to that. I have to give credit to Larry Hazard for all that he's done for me, but I have to give a lot of credit to Bob Lee, because he trained me when I first started. And those same score and methods that he trained me on are the same ones that I use today. Okay, and it has never failed me, all right? So, I'm going to get back to the story in a minute, but there's a couple of people I want to thank before I forget. I want to thank my family, because they always show up for me. I want to thank my friends, because they always show up for me. They're very supportive. I want to thank some special friends of mine, Sonny Hill and Taisha, because God knows I don't know what I'd do without them, okay? So, and if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. But I want to just say a few more things before I walk away from here. After I went to Atlantic City and I joined the IBF, okay, and I was the first female judge in that, and then I went on to join the WBA, and the other WBC and the WBO, and I was the first African American female in all those organizations. And it was wonderful, just wonderful. I had never traveled around the world like this. It didn't have to pay, everything was paid, you just show up, do your job. So I still do the same thing. I show up with all my pens. I have about 4 or 5 of them, because at one time they ran out. I'm saying, how the heck this happened? You have 4 pens and they all ran out. So anyway, I went on, and here I am now. So what I want to say now, I want to say thank you, Jesus, for bringing me this far in my career. Thank you, everybody.
Give another warm round of applause.
I just want to say what an honor and privilege it was to manage Arturo Gatti. These are just such great times in Atlantic City when we fought here. I can remember pulling into Bally's, and the bell guy comes out and he sees corner jackets, and he said, "You a Team Gotti?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "We love when Gotti comes to town. Everybody makes money." And it was true back then, because you couldn't get a hotel room. You couldn't get a dinner reservation. It was tough to get a taxi cab. I mean, it was Gotti's town for those years. And it really helped Atlantic City boxing, which was fantastic. And I hope that can come back again someday. And I just want to acknowledge his daughter who came down here tonight, Sophia, who's in the crowd. Sophia. Anyway, this is such a great honor for me, really. It's the greatest memories of boxing I've ever had here, and I'm so grateful to have this award. Thank you so much.
When the New Jersey Casino Control Act became law on June 2nd, 1977, my late husband, Dan Duva, told me that it would change our lives. Having graduated from Seton Hall Law School just a few weeks earlier, Dan brought stock in Caesar's world with his first paycheck. He knew what was coming. He always knew everything. 1 year later, he incorporated Main Events, and that was not a coincidence. The first record that I can find of a fight promoted by Main Events in Atlantic City was on January 9th, 1981. Future world champion Livingstone Bramble won a 6-rounder in his 3rd professional fight. James Hard Rock Green also appeared on the undercard, as did Dave Tiberi's brother, little brother Joe Tiberi, or big brother, that's Joe Tiberi. Yeah, right? According to BoxRec, a total of only 5 bouts took place that night. They were all 6s and 8s. There was no TV. Everyone on the card was local. It was a classic club show. Since that night, Main Events has promoted more shows in Atlantic City than I could count, from those club shows right up to mega events. I vaguely remember a very long run of shows on USA Network at Harrah's Marina every other Tuesday in the 80s. I'd like to tell you I remember those great fights, but what I mostly remember is forcing my husband Dan to pull over at every rest stop on the Parkway on the way home, because I was always pregnant then. I had to run to the bathroom. I always think about that when I ride down the Parkway. It's weird. In addition to Bramble, main events promoted so many world champions here. I had to write their names down just to remember them all. Included Johnny Bumphus, Rocky Lockridge, Robert Hines, Pinklin Thomas, who's here tonight, Bobby Ches, Mike McCullum, Vinny Pazienza, who's here, Hector Camacho, Pernell Winiger, Meldrick Taylor, Evander Holyfield, Mark Breland, Lennox Lewis, Michael Moore, Zab Judah, Fernando Vargas, Steve Cunningham, who's here, Sergei Kovalev, Dmitry Bivol, and of course, in his own special way as it relates to Atlantic City, the greatest of them all, Arturo Gatti. Many of the gentlemen I just named had development fights here, and please forgive me if I left anybody out. Some won their world titles in Atlantic City and others defended them here, most of them successfully. Of course, some truly memorable nights still stand out. In 1991, Evander Holyfield defeated Big George Foreman at Boardwalk Hall in the Battle of the Ages. In 92, Michael Moore won the vacant WBO World Heavyweight title in a bout with Bert Cooper in this very building. It's still to this day one of the most amazing heavyweight matchups I have ever witnessed. Both fighters hit the canvas twice, each of them in the first round, before Moore scored a TKO in round 5. Of course, Lennox Lewis fought many times here. He's in honor tonight. 2/3 of the classic Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward trilogy took place here, in addition to 7 other consecutive fights when Arturo sold out Boardwalk Hall in a run that will never be equaled. More recently, Sergei Kovalev outpointed Bernard Hopkins to unify the light heavyweight titles in that same building, and what turned out to be a very memorable night for me. I vividly remember the trip home from Atlantic City, though, on July 15th, 2007, the morning after Alfonso Gomez defeated Arturo in the last bout of his storied career, wondering if I was driving down the Atlantic City Expressway for the last time. Fortunately, I was wrong about that. Looking back, I've spent so much of my life here. I remember meeting Mr. Peanut on the boardwalk when I was 5 years old and feeding the pigeons. Thought about it yesterday when I was walking down. I remember, I guess my most vivid memory in this place is telling Pat Lynch, who you just met, at some point during Gatti's amazing 5-year run at Boardwalk Hall, that someday we would look back and remember it as the best time of our life. Well, that day is today. In fact, today I think I miss Arturo most of all. He should have been here to share this with Pat and me, but I'm thrilled that his daughter Sophia is here. I'm honored, I'm humbled, and amazed that you have chosen to recognize my contributions alongside my late husband, Dan, the other person I'm missing a lot today, in the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. It has been my privilege to play whatever small part I have in the story of professional boxing in this great city. I want to thank Ray McCline, Roderick, Green, Whitney, Ron, and especially Angela Crockett for all their help, and everyone else involved in making this happen. And most of all, I always want to stop and thank main event staffers Joe Rotunda and Alexis Sullivan and Ed Keenan, who came to visit today. And not only are you all amazing at what you do, but being around you always makes this crazy job of mine a lot more fun. Thank you.
On behalf of the great Lennox Lewis, but I'll be remiss if I would not mention our team, because it takes a team to make the dream work. It takes a team for the champion to achieve all the successes that they attain. In obviously Lennox Lewis' case, the last undisputed champion of the world, 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. So, you know, like I said, it'd be remiss without me not mentioning the great Al Gavin, who was a cut man, the great late John Davenport, who was Lennox Lewis' first professional trainer. who brought me aboard, was a blessing. As well as Pappy Correa, who's still here with us, thank God, good friend. As well as the late, great Emmanuel Stewart, who his passing is 10 years this month. So let's give a hand for Emmanuel Stewart. Great Emmanuel Stewart. So, like I said, I just wanted to be able to, when I accept this honor and this award on behalf of Lennox Lewis, I got to, acknowledge the team and the people that helped put him and attain his achievements. Last but not least, I want to thank the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, Ray McCline, his whole crew. They've done an excellent job. Every year. I didn't have the ball all weekend, I'll be honest with you. I had the ball. I want to thank Brother Samad. He does an excellent emceeing job every year. Come on, let's give it up for him. The crew here. And so, once again, it's an honor to be here. I'm a fan. I've been in this game 50 years. Yes, y'all. 50 years, but it's an honor to be with mingle with the James Toneys, the Michael Nuns, the Iran Barclays, the Michael Elijahs, the Tracy Harris Pattersons, the Junior Jones, the Al Coles, the Ray Mercers, and we can keep naming them. I love this. I'm a fan. Like I said, I'm a fan first. So it's a blessing to be amongst. And let me just mention, Eddie Aliano was my cut man also, the clock. So, I'm a historian on this. The Fletcher, Anthony Fletcher. The Animal Fletcher, he was, inducted. But his brother, Anthony Fletcher, come on now. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I love this right here. Keep doing what y'all do. Ray McCline and Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. I will be here every year. This is beautiful. Blessings.
Pennsylvania in the house. New York's in the house. Jersey in the house. Atlanta's in the house. All right. It's been an incredible 3 days. And I'm speechless. There's just so many exciting things over the last 3 days that's happened. It's really touched my heart. And this is something I think needs to go year-round in the sport of boxing. The impact that this event has had in the last 7 years has been incredible. And I want to thank Ray and his team for the great job. Okay, Ray? And on a personal level, I'd like to thank the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame for such a great honor, and Atlantic City Casinos for giving me an opportunity to be showcased from the Mecca of boxing. I'm honored to share the stage with such great role models of the sport, and a special thank you to my best friend of 32 years, Angela, my wife. And my biggest achievement in life is my 3 daughters, Alexis and her fiance Ryan's here. Angela Marie, Ariel, and their boyfriends Greg and Mark. And my little man, my first grandson, Callahan David McLeish. For blessing me with so much love. I'd like to have a shout out in the audience to my siblings and their families, and my second mother, Janet Hubbs, who founded the Dave Tiberi Fan Club, and my mentor, Andy Urkel, and Gus Perotti, mentors, who is looking down from heaven. I'm also honored and humbled to have so many family and friends that are here tonight from Delaware, the Castle, and throughout the country that made it possible for me to be standing here. I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It was interesting when I was writing my speech because I wanted to I blended it in from my boxing as well as my business and the success that I've had in both areas. And as I reflected back on my career in business, I thought about how the key decisions that I made were so important to the success that I've had and continue to have. Some of those key decisions were proper eating habits, work ethic, putting the best people around me, and knowing that with God for me, that no one can be against me. I entered the ring every time with an armor and a sword found in James verse 1, 2, and 4. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And let perseverance have its full effect, so that you may be perfect and complete and lacking nothing. I'd like to share the importance of putting great people around you to achieve your goal, because iron sharpens iron. I was blessed to be in a boxing camp with not only talented and disciplined people, but great boxers from Champs Gym in Philadelphia and the Rec Center in Pleasantville, New Jersey. We held each other accountable. On a personal note, I couldn't wait for camp to be over because of the intensity of the sparring. I looked forward to the fights. And I'd like to have a special shout out and thank you to my promoters Top Rank and Russell Peltz, manager Mark Condriff and trainers Marty Feldman, looking down from heaven, Mario Tiberi, and my man, the blood clot, looking down from heaven, Eddie Aliano. Special shout out to my sparring partners. And these guys are really special in my life. But a special shout out to my man B-Hop, Bernard Hopkins, Prince Charles Williams, Robert Bam Bam Hines, and another guy looking down from heaven, Stevie Little, Ed Mack, and David Feldman. Each one of you are more than friends. You're my brothers. I accept this induction on behalf of you and my family, and friends that have been with me through the good times and struggles. I'd like to close by sharing my basic formula for success in life. In my locker room before every fight, I have my Bible open with as many pages. But I focus in on one Bible verse that tells the story about the success not only in boxing, but in my life. I was reminded that when I was entering the ring, I was entering into war. But I found that the foundation was built on Philippians 4:13. What it says is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I'd like to thank each one of you in Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame for this great honor. God bless you.
I'm here. This is my third event this year. I am so blessed. So blessed. I want to thank my man. He was trying to set up real bad because I lost my pops. And he was here with me every day, every fight, every training camp. And it just happened so fast. Now I'm without him. Everybody said, I'm not without him. He's still here with me. I like him. I want to be right next to him physically. It will happen. But he's with me in spirit. My stepmom, my mom Sherry, my beautiful wife, they are my rock, my major rock. You know, hey, it's real talk. I love everybody here, in here. I love boxing. Boxing is the best sport in the world besides football. You know what I'm saying? I love football. And no, not the Lions either. No, the Rams. You know what? Hey, this is the best Hall of Fame I've been to this year. The most complete Hall of Fame I've been to. No problems at all. And the people here in the Warriors are fantastic. I love you too. Ray Mercer. Let's go, champ. What's up? What's up, boy? Hey, you Sherry Briggs, my man. Even though y'all both from New York, this is all good. But everybody out there, y'all have a great night. Enjoy yourselves. Man, this has been tremendous. I think Ray McCline, the best Hall of Fame guy in the world, period. Hey, I don't care if everybody else here. Atlantic City Hall of Fame is the best. Thank you. Peace, black baby.
Hold on, James. Hold on. Wait a minute. Before you go, there's something else. It was just told to me. Walk with me, brother. Yeah, that's right. It was just told to me that it has been 31 years since you've seen this man. Would you come forward and look who it is? That's right. It's been 31 years since that incredible night. You better watch out. Oh, ain't nothing but love in here. Dave, Tiberi, and James, lights out, Tony.